My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long. Make me strong.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. My brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome once again to another interesting episode of Different Perspectives. And I will start as I usually do with my weekly reminder. Verily, Allah will never change the condition of a people until they desire to change it themselves. And secondly, those who deny the truth support one another. If you, Muslims, fail to do likewise, that is, support one another, there will be great disorder and corruption in the world. And I think we are seeing a lot of evidence of that because we don't support one another. And we are over the Milad season, a season when some thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sending that great mercy to this world, and also sing praises on the Prophet as advised in the Quran. Then there are the others who are on social media trying to convince those and themselves that what the first set was doing is wrong. This same attitude of you are wrong and I am right is applied to a number of other insignificant issues throughout the year for a Muslim that keeps Muslims all over the world divided. When we are faced with issues like the plight of the Rohinga people or the Palestine issue in all its different episodes, we suddenly become brotherhood conscious. We are ready to show concern and anger and to donate to satisfy our conscience. Then we recede back into our Muslim cocoon as we see it. One of the main accomplishments of the Prophet ﷺ was bringing together the warring pagan tribes of the Saudi Peninsula as an ummah or brotherhood. This togetherness propelled the Muslim nation to #1 in the world in short time. In every category: military, management, technology, sciences, medicine, astrology, you name it, and Muslims were at the top of the world. After the second Khalifa, we saw the division started to infect the Ummah continuously up until today. This inability to work together and keep the brotherhood together has brought us to the bottom of the ladder in the world ranking. We are 1.7 billion people. Only India and China are the only nations that are even close. And you see now they are standing in the world because they are a nation that work together. All Muslims need to regain our strength in the world is to follow the first Muslims and work together. Then no one can touch us. Today we are focusing on two issues that are in the news. One has been there for a while, and we have been planning this program for a while, but unfortunately we have not been able to get together to get it done. One is the Rohingya, the plight of the Rohingya people, and we want to touch on what happened yesterday in terms of Jerusalem. And we know that there is a lot of emotions being pumped up now about this Jerusalem issue. But until we have so long, what were we doing all the time as Muslims? We are pumped up now, as I said earlier. But what were we doing all the time? Looking to criticize one another and create divisions among ourselves. How do we expect to go beyond that? I have to discuss this with me tonight. Someone who has been close to that region all his life, and is no stranger to IBN and this program, Mufti Ashrarul Haq. Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So let's hear what you have to say. You could refer to the introduction, and you could also start with the Rohingya issue.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina wa Habibina Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Indeed, after a long time, we, especially, particularly me, I was unable to receive your call due to some my personal schedule and issues. Nevertheless, Alhamdulillah, we are here tonight to share with you some of our, to shed some light on issue which Brother Hafiz, host of this program, has mentioned to you. Firstly, Rohingya Muslim. Now, Rohingya Muslim is not as is not covered by media as used to in last month or months before or few months ago. You know, always some leaders of the world, they creating some new issue so that they can divert your mind and my mind to their purpose and engage us, especially Muslim Ummah, anywhere, as Brother Hafiz has introduced, that we always fight each other. We always try to find out the fault of our own Muslim brothers and sisters, rather to look at the big issues. So we engage ourselves in small issue, sometime community level, sometime our country level, but very few of us have a concern at international level or Ummah level. And that is why we are suffering and we are reached where we reach now. So firstly, see, Rohingya issue was very famous in last month or a few months ago. Many part of the world and many Muslim went. Rohingya were now in part of the Bangladesh is forest area, and the Sheikh who has visited in that last year and year before, Sheikh Dabagh, he runs a trust, the Bagh Trust, and he has people contributed towards Rohingya Muslim through his organization in Manchester. He sent me a report that almost 3,000 pound or even more than that. Not 3,000, sorry, 30,000 over that. So almost 2 to 300,000 TT between that. Anyhow, this is not my intention to give you the amount of money and whatever people have contributed. But you know that recently Muazzin from Sanwan, from Real Estate, he went Bangladesh and he come back. Yes.
We did?
Yes. And
before we get into that, let me just give a little rundown of what the history of Rohingya.
Yeah, we can.
And, so let me just give them. In 1974, now Rohingya, which was, or Myanmar, which was previously known as Burma, they were really involved in a lot of warring issues throughout their history, from the 18th century
even before, yes.
And even before that. Even with Kublai Khan, the Mughal emperor, he had taken over there at one time. And so I just want to go back to 1974. A new constitution came into effect, transferring power from the Armed Forces to the People's Assembly, headed by Nguyen and other former military leaders, by the United Nations General U Thant, for those who can remember U Thant. returned to Burma forever. Opposition National, in 1975, the Opposition National Democratic Front formed a regionally based minority group who mounted guerrilla insurgencies. In 1982, they had a law designating people non-indigenous background as associate citizens and in effect barred such persons from public office. I think that is where basically things started. When they said that people who were not indigenous to Burma at the time, they designated as associated citizen. So they weren't able to have any governing or public office, as the case may be. In 1987, they had a currency valuation and that wiped out a lot of people saving and triggered anti-government riots. In 1988, thousands of people were killed in anti-government riots. And then in 1989, they declared martial law. So they went back into the martial law situation. 1,000 people were arrested, including advocates of democracy and human rights, and they renamed Burma Myanmar. That is when the name was changed in 1989, with the capital Rangoon becoming Yangon. And then they had the national labor leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, the daughter of Aung San. She was put under house arrest. I think that was fairly recently. Everybody knew about that. In 1990, they had the Opposition National League for Democracy wins a landslide victory in the general elections, but this result was ignored by the military. So they didn't win the election and they nullified it. In 1992, Than Shwe replaced Thaw Mong as the chairman of the and prime minister and defense minister. Several political prisoners were freed in a bid to improve Myanmar's international image. Because at that time, they were having a lot of problems with the international community, including the United Nations. With this, Aung San Suu Kyi was released from house arrest after 6 years in 1995. And then she attended her first National League for Democracy Congress in 1996. In 1997, Burma admitted to Association of Southeastern Nations. In 1998, 300 of the NLD members released from Princeton, that is the political organization. Ruling Council refuses to comply with NLD deadline for convening parliament. Student demonstration were broken up. RNC reject ruling council conditions to visit a British husband who died of cancer in UK. In 2000, ruling council lift restriction on the movement of San Suu Kyi. In October 2000, Association began secret talks with the ruling council. In 2001, the ruling council released another 200 democracy activists. Government says release reflect progress in the talks with San Suu Kyi, who they had put back under house arrest. In 2001, Burmese army terrible clash at the Thai border. In 2000, the Prime Minister Shinawatra visits, says relations are back on track. In 2001, again, the Chinese President Jiang Zemin visits, issued a statement supporting the government. And then they had in 2000, again, pro-democracy leader San Suu Kyi was released after 20 months in house arrest, second time around. In 2003, Kinon becomes Prime Minister, and he proposed to hold a convention in 2004 for a new constitution. 2003, 5 senior NLD leaders were released from house arrest. In 2004, government and current National Union, most significant ethnic group fighting government, agreed to end hostilities. In 2004, Continued convention began despite boycott by the NLD. The convention adjourned to July. In 2004 again, they had a power struggle and one of the guys were put under house arrest. So that's how they've been going. They had elections in 2007, Myanmar and North Korea restored diplomatic ties after 24 years. In 2007, August, a wave of public dissent sparked fueled by high prices. Dozens of activists are arrested. You know, prices raised and we don't do anything. That big public riot there. Military government declares 14 years of constitutional talks complete and closed the National Convention. Buddhist monks hold a series of anti-government protests. San Suu Kyi is allowed to leave her house arrest to greet monks demonstrating in Rangoon. It is her first public appearance since 2003. I think that is when the current issue started, with the monks being given some level of autonomy to do what they want. In 2007, October, normality returns to Rangoon amid heavy military presence. Monks are absent after thousands of people are rounded up. After some delay, United Security Council deplores military crackdown on peaceful protesters. In 2008, a series of bomb blasts hits the country. State media blame insurgent destructionists, including ethnic Karen rebels. That is another ethnicity that they had. In 2008, April, government publishes proposed new constitution which allocates a quarter of seats in parliament to the military and bans opposition leader San Suu Kyi from holding office. In 2008, Cyclone Nagris hits the lowline delta. Some estimates put the toll of about 134,000 were died. In a referendum on the new constitution proceeds amid humanitarian crisis. Following cyclone, government says 92% voted in favor and passed the constitution. The junta renews San Suu Kyi house arrest. In 2008 November, dozens of political activists given sentences up to 65 years in a series of secretive trials. In December, government deals with consortium of 4 foreign firms to pipe natural gas into neighboring China, despite protests from human rights groups. In 2009, Thailand expels hundreds of members of Muslim Rohinga minority who appeared off its coast. Myanmar denies the minority existence. Several hundred Rohingyas are subsequently rescued from boats off the coast of Indonesia. United Nations envoy Ibrahim Gambari meets opposition leader San Suu Kyi for the first time in a year. In March 2009, the U.S. State Department official Stephen Blake visits to talk with Foreign Minister Nguyen Nguyen in what the U.S. calls a routine visit. Myanmar say it was notable given his seniority. In 2009 April, National League for Democracy main opposition group offers to take part in planned elections if the government frees all political prisoners, changes the constitution, and admits international observers. In 2009 May, the European Union extends the 2006 sanctions for another year, but adds that they can be reviewed in the event of move towards democracy. The UN aid agency says hundreds of thousands in the Irrawaddy Delta still need assistance a year after cyclone. The UN says Myanmar now allows it to bring in all the staff it needs. In 2009, opposition leader San Suu Kyi is convicted of breaching conditions of a house arrest following visits by an uninvited U.S. national in May. The initial sentence of 3 years imprisonment is commuted to 18 months house arrest. In 2009, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton announces plans for engagement with military rulers. In October, San Suu Kyi begins talk with Myanmar military leaders and is allowed to meet Western diplomats. In 2010, the authorities freed the NLD chairman Tim Wu And San Suu Kyi deputy had spent more than a decade in prison under house arrest. Again, in March, the government announces long-awaited election laws that have been passed with provisions for an electoral commission handpicked by the ruling junta. In October 2010, government changes country's flag, national anthem, and official name. In 2010, November, military-backed party, the Union Solidarity for Development Party, claims resounding victory in the first election for 20 years. Opposition groups allege widespread fraud and the election is widely condemned as a sham. The junta says the election marked a transition from military rule to civilian democracy. A week after the election, San Suu Kyi, who had been prevented from taking part, is released from house arrest. In January 2011, government authorizes internet connection for San Suu Kyi. San Suu Kyi. The junta retires to wings. In 2011 March, Thein Sein is sworn in as president of new nominally civilian government. In August, President Thein Sein meets San Suu Kyi. In September, President Thein Sein suspended the construction of controversial Chinese-funded Milestone hydroelectric dam. In move seen as showing greater openness to public opinion. In 2011 October, some political prisoners are freed as part of a general amnesty. New labor laws allowing unions are passed. In November, pro-democracy leader San Suu Kyi says she will stand for election to parliament as the party rejoins the political process. In December, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton visits, meets San Suu Kyi, and holds talk with President Thein Sein. U.S. offers to improve relations if democratic reforms continue. President Thein Sein signs law allowing peaceful demonstrations and for the first time since 2012, and said that by-elections for the parliament are due to held in 2012. Burmese authorities agreed truce deal with rebels of Shan ethnic group and orders military to stop operations against ethnic Kachin rebels. So there have been internal or civil wars going on in different things. Party-free elections are held in 2012 with San Suu Kyi elected. Manmohan Singh pays first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in 1987 in 2012, May. In 2012, August, President Thein Sein set up commission to investigate violence between Rakhine Buddhists and Rohingya Muslims in the West, in which dozens have died. In a major cabinet reshuffle, President Thein Sein replaced hardline information minister Kwan Sun with moderate Ong Ki, the military negotiator and opposition leader San Suu Kyi. In 2012 September, Mauti Zun, the leader of student protests in 1980, returns from exile after Burma moved 2,082 people from its blacklist. President Thein Sein tells the BBC he would accept opposition leader San Suu Kyi as president if she were elected. Foreign ties. Visiting European Commission chief, this is November 2012, Jose Manuel Barroso offers Myanmar more than 100 million in development aid. Around 90 people are killed in a renewed bout of communal violence between Rakhine Buddhists and Rohingya Muslims. U.S. President Barack Obama visits to offer the hand of friendship in return for more reforms. He urges reconciliation with the Rohingya minority. In 2013, February, the army surrounds Lassia, the biggest known town controlled by Kachin rebels. The government and rebels agree to disengage and start a political dialogue after Chinese-sponsored talks. In 2013 March, rioting between Muslims and Buddhists in Maikila, south of Mandalay, leaves at least 10 dead. In 2013 April, 4 private daily newspapers appeared for the first time in almost 50 years as the state monopoly ends. In 2013 May, President Einstein visits Washington. President Obama praises Myanmar political and economic progress, but criticizes violence against Rohingya Muslims. 6 Muslims are jailed over the Maikita clashes in March. No Buddhists are convicted. In 2014, April, at least 22 people are killed in fighting between government troops and ethnic Kachin rebels. In 2014 May, U.S. extends some sanctions for another year, saying that despite recent reforms, rights abuses and army influence on politics and the economy persist. In 2014 October, parliamentary elections set for October-November of 2015. Government announces the release of 3,000 prisoners. Burma watchers say most are petty criminals, but include ex-military intelligence officers imprisoned along with former Prime Minister Kin Newt, who was freed in 2012. In 2015 February, flare-up in fighting with Kokand separatists in Shan State near the border with China, leave nearly 50 soldiers dead. Government puts Kokand region under temporary martial law. Government withdraws temporary voting rights from Rohingya Muslims ahead of proposed constitutional referendum. And this was in February 2015, following street protests by Buddhists. The Buddhists were protesting that Muslims should not be allowed to vote. In 2015 March, a draft ceasefire agreement signed between the government and 16 rebel groups. In 2015, hundreds of Muslim Rohingya migrants leave by sea in flimsy boats along with migrants from Bangladesh. UN criticizes failure of Southeast Asian states to rescue them. In July 15, floods affected much low-lying parts of the country, killing 100 people and displacing millions others. In November, opposition National League led by San Suu Kyi wins enough seats in parliament election to form government. In 2016 March, Inten sworn as president, ushering a new era as San Suu Kyi democracy movement takes power after 50 years of military domination. 2017 March, the United Nations Human Rights Council decided to set up an investigation into alleged human rights abuses by the army against the Rohingya Muslim minority. In August, thousands of Rohingya Muslims free from Rakhine State, where Rohingya insurgents attacked 30 police stations, triggering a military response. So that is where we were until August. So we see what has been happening. So the military were really stifling minorities generally.
Always.
Right?
I want to give some short how Islam reached to Burma.
Right.
Right. You give a whole
So we know what's that going on. Now we want to see how
Islam reached to Burma.
Right.
So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, the history says in 60, 80 Iswi, one of the descendants from Hazrat Ali family, Muhammad bin Hanafiya, he reached in Burma. And there was a small tribes and kings. They used to fight, including Muslim. And after then, in 1842, how the British, in 1842, take the Burma as under British. But before British, when Muslim emperor, Mughal emperor, when they were ruling in India, same time the Burma was under India. It remained under India, and that is why when British take over India, and it was the last Muslim emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. So they arrest Bahadur Shah Zafar and send to Burma. So Burma was the place for to be punished. That is why Bahadur Shah Zafar, he passed away, and his shrine is still in Burma. And recently, Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, he has visited his shrine. So Muslim and those who say Muslim migrated from Bangladesh and so on. First of all, Muslim come from Arab, and then from Indonesia, Malaysia, then from Bangladesh. And all Muslim population are almost 1 million Muslim. But recently what happens, 2012 to 2013, 2014, 2016 and 2017. Everyone knows that. What happened? A lot of people saying that, so what happened when British reached there, Muslim used to live before British. So they had some agreement that Arakan area, where is a state where was a Muslim majority in that Arakan, they had some agreement that they will get independence anyhow. So Rohingya Muslim is, and history of Rohingya Muslim is not much different from Kashmiri Muslim in India and Pakistan, both same time. So always people deceived Muslim throughout the centuries. The Muslim always trust and Muslim have a sympathy, and Muslim can trust to anyone easily, and that is why it happened to Rohingya Muslim and so on. But you know, a lot of people, when it happened in 2017, they say what Saudi is doing, what Turkey is doing. I want to share, almost 500,000 Muslim are living in Saudi, in Jeddah and different part of Saudi. The Salman and before, they give every accommodation, food, houses, everything, but they do not mix with Arab and non-Arab. So almost 500,000 Muslim are Rohingya Muslim are living in Saudi, and now about 400,000 Muslim migrated to Bangladesh. And where is a Muslim, Rohingya Muslim in crisis? And because of Sheikh Ali, Mufti, Grand Sheikh of Al Azhar, he went himself, and after then the Pope from Francis, he reached there, because after when Sheikh Al Azhar reached there, and he carry all goods, and whatever people carry, you can feed them 2 days, 3 days, or 1 week. But those who come back from there, you can ask them about their condition. Now is a winter season, and imagine children, women, old people are sleeping on ground, even they don't have one blanket. It's a winter season, so imagine this. Just imagine. So no matter how much we can contribute, how much we can send, how much we send and contribute to them, still is not sufficient until they have to come back to their country. And that is why some people are trying to send them back to Burma. But Burma government, I think they had some agreement, but see what will happen. But why it is happening to Rohingya Muslim? Remember, the Shaykh Al Azhar said, if that same people, if they were not Muslim, you would see the world, Muslim, entire leader from the world, how they would respond. Because of they carry Rohingya Muslim, and that is why they are not get the support or attention from leader of the world, especially America and Western power. They did something, UNO and human rights, just they said to just, but really they did nothing to save the humanity or to save Rohingya Muslim wherever they reach now. Because of, if you look at their condition, really we can't describe, we can't describe, because words will be less. We cannot have a words to describe their situation. So nevertheless, Muslim almost are living more than 600 years in Burma, more than that. And how after then this San Suu Kyi, who received the Nobel Prize, all right, Peace Prize, Nobel Prize, famous prize, and people were hoping that when she become, when her party become in power, she will do something. But what happened in 2017, everyone knows that. So even, and look at the Buddhist. If we look at the Buddhist and their mazahib and their ruling, they said that their leader said, you should not kill anyone who has a life, including animals, birds, ants, anything is forbidden in Buddhist. So Buddhist in their scripture, Buddhist known as the peaceful religion. Peaceful religion means peaceful mazhab. But look at how they are killing Muslim. If you have, I think you have seen some pictures in social media or through WhatsApp or whatever, and when we look at our hairs in body raised because of the situation, when we look at, so this is how. But question is, why Muslim are being targeted? Why Muslim situation? Many part of the world almost the same, not maybe bad as Rohingya, but almost the same condition. So we'll come to next point. But Muslim, dear brothers and sisters, we have to wake up and we have to look at where we are going, where we reach. We don't have true leadership. Entire Muslim world. Muslim leaders are the puppet and slave of someone. Maybe one or few, maybe one or two. But that is why we have a life, we have to live. But I can see and you can see the future of Muslim nation, where Muslim will be in future. And it will be exactly as Prophet ﷺ mentioned that. And you know, some people say about one Maulana, I want to say it today. I don't know him much, but I heard something. But Maulana Imran Nasir. And you know, if you have a foresight, if you have a vision, future foresight and vision, you can see something or you can analyze something. And everything is mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He has mentioned that Israel will be greatest Israel, including the Egypt, including the, it will reach to Saudi. Israel reached to Saudi. So when we come to next part, as you mentioned, inshallah, we will mention these things. But remember, situation of Rohingya is we can't describe it. Everyone knows that. But how? So today is Rohingya. Tomorrow will be, our situation might be like Rohingya, maybe worse than that. So what we have prepared for that, what we have done, and what is our plan in future. Muslim, all Muslim, no matter what differences we have, no matter, I was thinking this morning that, and I'm amongst those who promote these things. You have mentioned that now, in last week, every masjid in Trinidad and many part of the world, Muslim organize Milad. That is good, alhamdulillah. You know, whenever this month come, we get more connected to the Prophet ﷺ, and we say we love him at least yearly, you know. But question is, those Sufi scholar and ulama, those who are promoting Milad, they have ever tell nation or Muslim Ummah to prepare something for future? Allah says in Quran, وَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Battle of Badr, who can be like Prophet Muhammad? Impossible. No one can be, no one can come after Prophet ﷺ as a prophet and messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who can be beloved to Allah than more than the Prophet ﷺ? But look at the Prophet, how he prepared to face the challenge and in Battle of Badr, Battle of Uhud, in all 7 battles in which he participated physically. But what we are doing, and that is why, you know, Lebanon, if you look at the whole Middle East, 23 countries or more than that, none of them have anything to defend himself or themselves. None. And that part is the most rich part in the world. They have all wealth, you name it, everyone knows that. What they were doing 20 years, 50, 60 years, 70 years, now they wake up something. Look at why Gaddafi was killed. If Libya had something to defend himself and themselves, you would see no one can kill Gaddafi. If Saddam tries something, Gaddafi tries something, and that is why they reach where they reach. So we know that. And next turn will come. We'll talk inshallah next part. But what I'm saying is, Muslim have to wake up. Muslim have, if something happens, then we wake up. Muslim have no plan for future, whether in this country or any other country, or wherever Muslim live or exist, have a same situation, same condition. Nevertheless, Allah says, وَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. You have to prepare with power. And if you don't have a power, you can't do nothing. So inshallah we'll continue in
So Mufti, is it that mindset that we have as Muslims, is it one that is brought about by how we teach Islam?
No, I think Muslim are unfortunately divided into so many sects and tariqah and these and that, and they leave main pillar, which is the Islam. So we spend our all energy into branches, into something which is not really much concern, not should be much concern of Muslim, and we forget future. We remember our past, but we forget future. How long we live in the name of that in 18th century we were leader. In 17th century we have invented these and these. In 16th century Muslim invented these and that. How long we can live on that? We have to do something for future. Everyone, if you look at the scholar and ulama, glorifying themselves, glorifying their leaders, glorifying their ulama and scholar of 17th century, 16th century, 15th century, we have done this. Then what happened? Why these ummah stop to invent something good where they could provide? That is why non-Muslim world asking what Muslim are giving to this world. If you look at the presently aircraft or inventions, all the means and way, any Muslim in front? No. So question is, we are divided so much and we don't have any foresight and vision and to even benefit this world physically, rather to benefit ourselves in the hereafter. So and one of the things which affected Muslim future, which is the education system. Education system of Muslim, when our scholar divided, this is the Islamic education, this is the academic education, that kill future of Muslim. Since they divided education into two parts, this is the academic and secular education, this is the Islamic education, and majority Muslim focus on Islamic education and they forget academic education or secular education, which is the Islamic education. Right. Because all education come from Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they did not merge to education, you will see some alim is great alim, but they can't see even the one word of English. There is some great Muslim who is a great doctor and engineer, but they don't know Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Why it happened? Because of our system we have created, we have divided education, and if we merge, and that is why if we look at the 16th century, 17th century and 16th century, those scholars had a multi-dimension scholars. So that is why these things kept this nation this level. This is the main thing I analyze since a few days.
I think that's the thing that we have to get across to Muslims, really, that critical thinking. You know, if you look back to check all these early scholars, every one of them studied logic.
Yeah.
Every single one of them in those early days studied logic, which is what? Critical thinking.
Yes. I shouldn't say I was expert, and still one of my interest subject is logic.
Right.
Mantiq is called mantiq.
And that is where we have to get back.
But
now we are
where
teaching
they will
Muslims to
implement this
focus.
logic? Just they learn, but they never exercise, they never implement.
So, and that is what we need. We
And
need critical
second,
thinkers within Islam, with Muslims.
second, my issue, I was saying that it's good to celebrate Milad or commemorate Milad, good to remember the Prophet ﷺ, his birthday, his seerah, his akhlaq, you name it. Whatever way you choose to remember our Prophet ﷺ is good. Individually, collectively, in masjid, wherever, I don't have objection. But the same scholar, those who call themselves Sufi and Mashayikh, what they are doing for this nation. They are doing zikr in masjid. They are engaging themselves in dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is very good. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, that is very good. But same time, why these scholars and ulama forget the role of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he participated in battles, when he encouraged a Muslim to prepare to face and defend themselves in Medina and protect the people of Medina. Why scholars forgetting this part? Why we always emphasize in dhikr in masjid, that is good. But why we forget this part? Including the scholar and ulama, leader of the world. So we are not following full sunnah and full footstep of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And Quran also.
And Quran as well. That is why we reach, Muslim nation reach in this situation, because anyone can come and rule Muslim, because they know Muslim can't do nothing.
They know that we get involved and we use emotions rather than intellect.
Yes, that is happening.
And that is what we have to do. We have to get back to the intellectual approach to Islam.
Absolutely.
Right? We keep getting involved in emotions.
Emotions. You know why? Why?
Tell me.
Because when we don't have intellect,
that's right.
When we do not know how to respond intellectually, we get emotion, we respond emotionally.
And therefore, Muslims have to start learning Islam through Islam, not just the ibadah part of Islam, which happens. Most people go through their life only focusing on learning the ibadah aspect of Islam and forgetting all the other four parts of Islam.
Prophet ﷺ, who can worship Allah more than Prophet ﷺ? He used to stand in night so long until his foot gets swollen, and Sayyidah Aisha used to ask, why you worship Allah so long and you are forgiven? He used to say, shall I not be grateful servant of Allah? So this was the night period. But if you look at the daytime, the Prophet ﷺ, he was in masjid, he was among Sahaba, he was in masjid, he used to prepare, he used to have a plan with Sahaba how to defend Medina, how to face the challenges, how to those people coming to attack Medina, how to defend them, how to fight with them in terms of protect ourselves. And he used to put things in place. But now entire leader in the world, Muslim leader, just they are focusing in ibadah part, which is part of Islam. But the other part of Islam, we are ignoring.
Just as important.
That is important.
But not only that, the Prophet also had his intelligence sources and system. So he knew what was happening in Mecca.
In coming years.
Right? So he knew what they would have been coming with. He knew when they were coming to fight, so he could prepare. So, and we don't do that. I mean, I see these guys who are getting involved in terrorist acts. Those are so stupid. All they do is put the Muslims in a worse position. And they
don't have intellectually approach.
And even if you look at our own country, the Muslims here, we don't work together. We don't get the best resources. We have human resources, the best intellectuals together to take the community forward. We don't have to have an army. In this day and age, we have to work differently. We have to work together. We have to work in terms of economics. We should be focusing on developing our Muslims and our nation by so doing. because we're supposed to have the answers to issues, to developmental problems. And we are not, and when I say we have a lot of professionals in the Muslim community.
Yes.
But we have to now get them into the
I think in everywhere, if my message reaches to the part of the world, I think Muslims have to come out from their differences and take important role towards developing their community, their country, and must take part in politics.
and get involved.
Get involved. You must get position in politics. Politics, I mean good, not I mean bad. In politics is up to you individually how you taking the part in politics. All right, and if you don't have the position and authority, you will not able to do anything. Even you can't defend yourself and your family. So Muslim must be in system of the country and system of the world. Otherwise, Muslim will be being
And this is more
ruled.
so here, because we are not immigrants. We were not who came from elsewhere.
Yes.
We are citizens from here.
You have a right as others.
That's right.
So why
we
you
have
are
the
here and
same
others
right
there?
of everybody else. So we should be involved and make sure we get involved. And there are those who tell Muslims that they shouldn't get involved. They shouldn't even go and vote. Palestine get involved as a candidate, which is absolute rubbish. This is the source of our problems. And we could talk about Jerusalem, and the same thing will happen. A lot of us in Trinidad, a lot of Muslims all over the world will now be responding in a
Different individually or different
emotional way.
Yes.
What they were doing all the time.
It is emotional. Okay, it is the nature that we get emotion and
But really, to combat the thing, we have to become a nation of 1.7 billion people and work together.
we need to do that. We need to.
Unless we do that, we would always be taken advantage of. We would not
we
be
need
able
to
to stop anything happen with Muslims anywhere in the
We
world.
need to do that. So already you touch Jerusalem. Look at, everyone knows that, all right, what is happening and what will happen. And this is nothing new. Prophet ﷺ already he has mentioned that. But it doesn't mean we should ignore it or we should sit at home and we do nothing. If we look at the Muslim politics in the world, Muslim politics is being like all Muslim leader, Muslim country in the especially Middle East. You know, the leader from Western power, they always creating issue for Muslim, always time to time, so that they can divert their mind from their purpose. Because they are continuously they are working for their purpose to achieve in future, but they are also creating issue to divert Muslim mind from their purpose, so that they can't see what they want to do, and as a result they start to fight each other. Look at Saudi fighting with Yemen fighting with Saudi, and Libya and all, and look at other part of the world and leaders what they are doing. So they know that the Quds, the Jerusalem is the red line for the Muslim, because of Masjid Aqsa is there, and Masjid Aqsa is the Ulil Qiblatain, the first Qibla of the Muslim. But see how President United States, they declared that Jerusalem will be the capital of Israel. And Muslim world is still silent except few, because they knew that Muslim can't do nothing, and if some Muslim could do, they will face them.
But that's the situation now. But I mean, this thing has been going on for about 70 years now. And what has the Muslims done? Every time something happens, we protest, we send help, we make some noise, and then we back to normal.
Yes.
right? And this has been from the beginning. We talk about Muslim leaders throughout the world. You know, those are the same, all the Muslim countries, those are the same areas that have all the Muslim scholars, but they have the most ignorant population around them that know nothing about Islam. Their behavior shows that.
I'm very upset and sad that how Saudi rulers, how they move and how they how they playing game and politics with regard to Muslim world, and with regard to they are playing emotion with the emotion of the Muslim, because no matter wherever Muslim live and exist, they look at the Saudi and what Saudi is doing. All right, what Saudi could do? Saudi can't do nothing, because if you look at the Saudi system, Saudi army run by American army, more than 25,000 army there, even more than that. What they could do? Nothing. So,
but you know, we did 10 programs here on the whole Saud and
family, yes.
Abdul Wahab, and how they got into power with the help of the British. And therefore, they have to maintain that relationship.
Unfortunately, those who promoting Saudi, all right, but they believe in Al Saud family like they are Quran and Hadith. They are human beings. They are like us. So don't regard them. They are innocent. But now Muslim world has seen them, their hypocrisy and their munafiqat, and how they carry this nation to different world and to different direction.
And it extends to all the other leaders in the Muslim world.
Yes.
Every single one.
Still, I believe is may Allah bless President of Turkey, still have some iman, and he show his concern time to time. But what can he do alone?
But I think it comes back to the individual Muslim. If we start, and there have been pockets around the world that have started to become intellectual, and I think we will have to pick that up on another program. Perhaps next week we'll continue.
At least I want to say this is not wise decision of President of United States to declare Jerusalem as a capital of Israel. This is absolutely not wise wisdom, not wise decision, because they who saying we want to peace, we want to make peace between Israel and Palestine, and wherever Muslim live, they are affected, they are emotionally or spiritually connected to Palestine because of the Qibla and Masjid Aqsa and Muslim concern. When they look at how Muslim children, women and youth and youngsters are being killed and injured, and they are how they oppress them, emotionally they involve. But that is why I want to urge, I want to appeal that this is not wise, and this can prevent to continue in peace process and to bring peace between two countries, Israel and Palestine. So I think this is a very critical issue.
We'll have to continue this next week.
I think we'll continue inshallah this issue.
Right, and because it's time now, the hour has gone, and time to wrap up. Our brothers and sisters, thank you all for joining us, and join us again next week when we'll continue our discussions on this issue with the Palestine issue, and Jerusalem in particular. And we hope to get some persons versed in the international affairs to get some idea of their ideas also.
We might take some call last week.
So Jazakallah, Assalamu alaikum, and join us next week.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We begin with Allah's blessed